What up? What up? What up? We got UFC Fight Night. Burns v Brady headlining the card. We got Gilbert Durinho Burns versus Sean Brady. Burns coming in at 22-7-0 off of 2 losses to Jack Magdalena de la Magdalena, where we felt he was winning that fight up into the 3rd round prior to him getting TKO'd. He has a tough decision loss to the current welterweight champ, Bilal Muhammad, going up against a tough up-and-comer, you would say, a contender in the division, Sean Brady, who's been criticized. They're calling him a fraud on Twitter, Floor Price Guy, because he lost to Bilal Muhammad, the current champ as well, via punches, correct? He got TKO'd, knocked out. And his most recent win was a sub against Kevin Gastelum. I know you have some thoughts on that. You have your own thoughts on Kevin Gastelum. We'll get into that. But this is the card. This is who's main eventing the card. Who do you got and why? They have Gilbert Burns at a plus 150. He is the underdog going into the fight. And Sean Brady's at a minus 180.
This is an excellent fight. I mean, we were kind of speaking about it, right? It looks like the card last week, we're getting the new guard versus the old guard, a veteran versus the surging kind of contender, and this card exemplifies that. We have Gilbert Burns, battle proven. I mean, look, he's fought for the belt versus Usman. He knocked down Usman, not on once, but two times, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he hit him with that overhand, right?
Yeah, hit him with the overhand right. They've been training before. Versus Sean Brady, which again, he's 16-1, like you said, 1 loss to the current champion. It's not a bad thing. But what are the things that we're looking at this fight, right? Gilbert Burns at 38 versus Sean Brady at 31. We're looking, why is Gilbert the underdog here, right? Is it an age thing? It's because he's lost 2 fights in a row. We need to remember something. His last 2 fights are the current champion and the number 4 contender of the welterweight division, Jack Della Maddalena, which you said he was winning that fight up until he made a mistake. Then we look at Brady. Brady's last fight was Kelvin Gastelum. One of the things to highlight with this, Kelvin dropped to welterweight to face Brady. And if I'm not mistaken, he did miss weight, champ. And I got to confirm the sources and everything, but I don't think either Kelvin was fully prepared. I don't think Kelvin was the Kelvin that fought Adesanya back in the days. This is a different Kelvin. I don't know, man. There looks like there's some disrespect on Gilbert Burns. I'm going with Gilbert. I love Gilbert. I think he's fought the tougher opposition. I mean, look, I understand the last 5 fights he's won 2, Jorge Masvidal, but at that point, champ, you're forgetting that Jorge was in the top 5, right? We also need to remember, he submitted Neil Magny. I understand, but champ, he's been through the killers of the division. Sean Brady still has to prove himself. He submitted Jake Matthews 3 years ago, right? Michael Chiesa, and let me say something. Michael Chiesa recently fought Tony Ferguson, and he subbed them right away. But that Sean Brady versus Michael Chiesa fight, it didn't look like Brady. It didn't look easy. It did look like a struggle. It did.
Yeah, he made Mike Chiesa look good, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like Mike Chiesa looked good. He didn't look old. Brady still won. So champ, who here has the striking advantage?
Yeah, so when we look at striking, we're gonna have to give it to Burns, right? Burns has the edge. He has the edge when it comes to striking. It's undeniable. He has the power, the volume, and the tactical awareness, right, to attack anybody from different angles. He averages about 3.29 significant strikes per minute with 48% accuracy, and this is throughout his whole career, right? So that's a good stat. He's over 50. He's just under 50% when it comes to accuracy. When it comes to the grappling, I think they both are there, with Burns having the slight advantage because he has that extensive. He's a 3rd-degree black belt, right, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So if it does go to the ground, Burns does have that slight advantage, but I think Sean Brady's wrestling, if he's able to control and minimize the distance and take him down, I think he can win off of the control. But one thing that we're not talking about and that people don't really speak of is that this is a 5-round fight. This is a 5-round main event. So this is a true test to Sean Brady. Is he a legit contender? Is he a fraud? He's never gone the distance, right? So if this fight does go the distance, does he have the cardio? There's a lot of questions that are to be answered. Does he have the cardio? Does he have the pace? Is he going to be able to pace himself and make the right decisions later on in the fight, so he isn't gassed out or put in a position where he can get choked out, TKO'd. So those are all questions we're going to be looking at. But I do see it as a slight changing of the guard. This is a real test for Sean Brady. If he's able to get through Gilbert Burns, he's a serious contender in the division. So we'll see. We'll see. And I hope that after the loss to Bilal Muhammad, he really took boxing and striking into consideration and worked on that. And we're going to be able to see if he took note of that and really sharpened it. But going toe-to-toe with Gilbert Burns is never a good idea. So we'll see. We'll see.
And I mean, listen, you're talking about K1 Bilal Muhammad. What do we, you feel me? K1 Bilal Muhammad took him out. It was also conditioning. It was also pressure. It was beautiful what Bilal did. Bilal is a different animal now. But great stat you pointed out. He's never gone to a decision. I think Gilbert Burns is that guy to take him to a decision. So you give the striking advantage to him. The cardio advantage, it's very interesting because even though Gilbert was winning the Jack fight, I felt Gilbert was, fatigued a little bit. But it's also, he was pushing a very, very intense pace. I don't know cardio-wise who has. I know Gilbert has fought the tougher fighters. But yeah, I'm going to give it to Gilbert, man. I think Gilbert has also the touch of
If you guys are wondering at home why Floor Price Guy is so big on Gilbert Burns, on why he's so adamant that he's going to win, well, I got something for you guys. Listen, I have sources out there, and my sources has sent me a photo that has not been leaked. But you know myself, I am always willing to leak a juicy photo. Floor Price Guy, do you have some explaining to do here? What's going on here? Is there some sort of alliance going on between you and Gilbert Burns? What's up? What is this?
Listen, we don't talk about this. Shout out to my guy Gilbert Burns. He's getting it done. Shout out to my guy. That's all we got to say. He's getting it done.
So co-maining UFC Fight Night 97, we have Jessica Andrade coming in as the underdog at plus 250 versus Natalia Silva, who is the heavy favorite at minus 310. Now, Jessica Andrade is 26-12, coming off of 2 wins. One was a split decision, and the other one was, I believe it was a knockout, right, with the left hook, if I'm not mistaken, against, let me double check.
Yeah, Mackenzie Dern.
Left hook and straight right to Mackenzie Dern on round 2, right? Versus Natalia Silva, who's 5-0 in the UFC. She's currently undefeated in the UFC. Listen, I think this is a good matchup. They're both heavy strikers, consistent strikers. Andrade just has that rugged style where she likes to push forward. She pushes the face and she really puts the pressure on her opponents, right? But one thing, if you've been watching Andrade's fights, especially as of late, she doesn't do well with people who have good footwork and make her work for it, right? So Natalia Silva is that individual. Her footwork, her taekwondo, her background in taekwondo with those combinations with the kicks, the punches and all that, I think is going to prove to be a bit of a challenge for Jessica Andrade, or a bit much. She's the younger fighter. She has good footwork. She's fast, those combinations. I think she's able to dictate the pace and to not allow that forward movement pressure. I think Silva takes the fight. What do you think, Floor Price Guy?
You know what? This is a great fight for Andrade. I'm apparently this card, I'm going for the old guard. Shout out to my man Jared Cannonier. I thought he was going to win. I do like this fight, the old guard versus the new guard. Now, that being said, Silva's five wins in the UFC, 0 losses. We look at Andrade sitting at around 17 wins and 10 losses. She's been around for a while. She's been in bantamweight. She's gone through all, like, flyweight. She's done it all. It's been amazing. Former champion as well. One of the things that I'm seeing, it's basically let's analyze their five fight losses. The last fight losses. Andrade 2 wins. Silva 5 wins, which is amazing. But
her last loss was to I'm sorry to interrupt you. Her last loss to Jessica Andrade was to Tatiana Suarez, where she got choked via guillotine.
Yeah, but let me just bring a very interesting stat. Andrade is one of the most active female fighters in the UFC. These last 5 fights, all within a year and 6 months. And then when we talk about the caliber of who she fought, Erin Blanchfield, she recently lost, undefeated fighter. She ended up fighting Wei Ling for the belt. At UFC 300, Tatiana Suarez, right? the uncrowned champion, right? It's like this is who this woman has been losing to. Like we're talking about a very serious, killer's row. And then champ, we have the wins. Mackenzie Dern. I saw that fight live. That was very interesting. Andrade does have that power, but champ, the one, Marina Rodriguez going to a split decision. Now, this is MMA math doesn't work out, but I don't know if you're aware, but Natalia Silva fought Marina Rodriguez, and Marina did take her to a decision, unanimous decision loss. So they both face this fighter. I personally feel, after seeing that fight, Silva was not the fighter she is now. I find now she's more conditioned, the range, she understands it a little bit better. But champ, I think Andrade takes this. I think her forward pressure, her power, I don't think she lets Silva breathe. I think she gets her on the back pedal. Shout out to Silva. She has a very taekwondo style where she's kind of moving laterally, have very good footwork, has good power as well. But I got to give it to Andrade, champ. I think Andrade takes this.
I'm not mad
I think Andrade takes, especially at an underdog. Like, let's be very honest, champ. Andrade has been fighting the top 15 for the past, I would have to say 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I think the key to this, if Silva is able to weather the storm of Andrade pushing forward early on and then kind of drag the fight out, control that pace, control the cardio, I think her style is explosive enough, and she's very energetic, right, with the combinations in her movement. I think she could pull out a decision win.
She could, champ.
If she's able to weather that storm, because Andrade is going to come in. She's going to come in hot, right? She's going to come in like a wrecking ball. Hot. So if she's able to weather that storm and get past that initial onslaught, carry the fight and control that pace, I think she could win.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, Silva has the range. Let's be very honest with you. But Andrade does something very good, that she's a bulldog. She goes in and she goes in for the kill. She puts her head down.
We often talk about it. That's where octagon management comes into play, right? If you're a striker and you have the technical what's it called? The technical talent to control somebody at distance and control the octagon, you're able to control the pace of the fight, right? So if Silva is able to utilize that height and keep her at distance with her jabs, find the range and then get in those combos and not allow Andrade to get close, it could be a very different fight than what we're expecting.
But will it be enough? So another thing to take in consideration, this is not a pay-per-view card, which means a pay-per-view card means a bigger octagon. This is a fight night card. I don't know where it is. I think it's in the Apex, right?
It's in the Apex,
so smaller ring. And that benefits Andrade, because that's the thing about it. And it's similar to fighters to Izzy Adesanya, to Conor McGregor. When they're free flowing with footwork, you want to be in a bigger ring so you could circle, push back, move away. Yeah, and I think that's also one of the key things that Andrade will be taking. If Andrade lets Silva breathe and get creative and just starts just overreading, Andrade Silva wins this. But if Andrade puts the pressure on, she has a shot here. So I will be going, especially at a plus 250, which I think the odds have shifted. Can you confirm that, Roy? Have the odds shifted a little bit higher for?
So the next fight we're going to be talking about here is Felipe dos Santos at a plus 150 versus Andrade Lima at a minus 180. Felipe dos Santos is 8-1, hailing from Brazil. He's 5'7", 124 pounds with a 70-inch reach, 38-inch reach leg for his legs, right? We have Andrade Lima, who's 9-0, also hailing from Brazil, 5'7", 125.5 pounds. Reach is a little bit under at 67.5 inches, with his leg reach being at 38 inches. So I think this is a great fight. I think this is going to be a fun fight. You have two explosive strikers with a lot of volume meeting in the octagon. And this is, in my opinion, this is really a pick'em, but I am an Andrade Lima fan. We saw him in his debut against Igor Severino where he got bit. He's the only individual in the UFC with the bite bonus. He's got the tattoo on his forearm. That's a bad man, dude. You name me another individual who got a bite bonus in fighting in any competition. Did Evander Holyfield get a bite bonus?
Mm-mm. No.
But, no, Andrade Lima, he the issue when he fought, who did he fight the second time? 1 second. He fought somebody. Who's the fucking guy he fought? I forgot his name. You remember his name?
Igor.
No.
The
After that,
disqualification was Igor. The Mitch Raposo.
Mitch Raposo. So he came in a little bit overweight against Mitch Raposo, right? So a lot of the questions was, is he too big for the flyweight division? Does he need to move up? Is he too big? Can he make weight? Whether you like the decision against Raposo, he still roughed it out and he got the win, right? I think in this fight against Felipe dos Santos, there's two strikers. I think Andre Lima's consistency and his technicality when it comes to striking is a little more efficient than Dos Santos. Dos Santos does provide a lot of volume when it comes to punching. He does throw a lot of volume. He moves at a high traction, but I think Andre Lima's consistency and that Muay Thai background is going to prove to be a little bit too much for Dos Santos, and I think he can pull out a decision win in this, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with Lima.
I have to go to for Dos Santos. You know what? Shout out to the first bite bonus. That was pretty cool. Dana gave him a fight bonus. He went to the tattoo shop, got tatted a couple hours in, which is amazing.
That's dope.
9-0. So let me give first Lima his flowers, right? He is coming from the Contender Series, right? Dana White's Contender Series, fought to a decision versus a 14-1, and I like the Contender Series because they're tough fights, man. They're not gimme fights. Like, those are very tough fights. Shout out to Dana for putting that on. That was 10 months ago. No, he's going for his fourth fight in less than a year. Pretty exciting. Hopefully, after this, he fights again maybe in a year. But this fight is going to be a scrap. You got Felipe dos Santos. Here's the thing about it. He was fighting an LFA, and Mano Cape needed an opponent. They brought him on short notice. And I got to tell you, Roy, I was a fan of Dos Santos. I did put money on Mano. I didn't really study Dos Santos, but this kid is quick. They both have very good technique, very speed, good form. But man, Dos Santos is, I think, as he gets older in his UFC career, it's going to be a problem. Lost to Dos Santos, that's fine on a short fight notice, but then took a split decision versus Victor Altamirano. And I mean, that was 6 months ago. I think this kid is going to be, has the potential to be something big. Now, champ, we're covering this fight because this is going to be a very exciting fight. Both fighters are technical. I think the odds are closer than actually like a minus 180 versus plus 150. I like the 150 for my guy. I'm excited to see this part. It is a prelim card. I would have popped it into the main card because we're going to be seeing a very technical and a very fast-paced fight. So, champ. So I got to go with Dos Santos decision. I think he squeaks it out.
The floor price guy, let me ask you a question because the people watching are extremely intrigued in your response to this question. Who do you give the striking advantage to? Do you give it to Lima or do you give it to Dos Santos?
Oh, man. So the thing is, they're similar fighters. I mean, I would have to give Dos Santos the edge. I would give him the edge in the KO department. Yeah, champ. And I mean, listen, and I'm going to be honest with you, right? If you end up going to topology, you're going to find out that 43% have Dos Santos winning. Now, the thing is, people estimate the flyweights, right? So they end up saying, "Oh, it's going to go to a decision."
Yeah.
If you want to bet on the decision, it's not a bad bet. These guys are both technicians. These guys are both good. I think, like I said before, this fight should be 9-0 if it's not for Manel Cape coming in late notice. Manel Cape is a top 5, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check Manel's ranking, right? Because this is where we go back and we put kind of respect on my man's name. 1 second. So Manel was a top 9 fighter, and I think he was ranked a little bit higher up prior to his loss to Muhammad, and they fought literally a couple of months ago. So I think it's going to be a close contested fight. Knockout power. I mean, maybe we see something, but decision. If you want to be safe, I think it's going to be decision. But I like Felipe dos
Before
Santos.
we dip out, I want to just address that. I'm looking at your shirt, Floor Press guy. I see that you have a JRNE, the Journey shirt. I want to give a shout out to them, our brothers in Brazil, and to the legend, our Canadian brethren, Crypto Fiend.
Legend, great merch, great stuff. I had a rep today. You rep the boys. But Chan, always a pleasure to call these fights. We'll be back next week for Noche Latina.